Hello friends, today we are testing a new employee for voiceover. Please write in the comments what you think of the result. The Russians continue to encircle Pokrovsk from the northeast, having advanced to Sukhetske, as evidenced by the deep state map. According to our military, this settlement is in the gray zone. There are currently battles there. The enemy has not yet established full and stable control. In Rodinske, the enemy is increasing artillery shelling of the industrial zone and its environs. The city is under constant pressure in order to tie down our forces. I would like to note that Rodinske is a key settlement for logistics, and it must be held by all means. In Mirnograd itself, on the eastern outskirts of the city, no serious assaults have been observed so far. The enemy is firing artillery at the outer micro-districts and periodically launching sabotage and reconnaissance groups, but there is no active advancement in the direction of the city yet. In the Pokrovsk area near Kotline, the enemy is trying to gain a foothold on the approaches to the settlement. Battles are underway near the fields in the southwest. There is confirmation that the Russians have occupied part of the plantings, but they cannot capture the village itself. In the area of Pershetravnya, the enemy has entered the outermost houses and is trying to advance deeper. Street battles are taking place on the southwestern outskirts, and the settlement is actually behind the enemy, but he has not yet fully consolidated his position there. The settlement of Troyanda is currently under our control. This area is under constant shelling. The situation is tense, and there are also attempts by sabotage and reconnaissance groups to enter through the fields. From the side of Novoukrayinka, the Russians are trying to enter Chinushine. The attacks are currently being repelled. In the direction of Lysivka, there are also hot battles on the approaches. The enemy is trying to take control of the area around. Now there is a gray zone there, and no one has complete control. The fighting continues in the fields. Russian military telegram channels report the capture of the border checkpoint Goptivka in the Kharkiv region. The American Institute for the Study of War also writes about this, indicating that this is unconfirmed information. The Ukrainian authorities deny the loss of Goptivka. The head of the military administration, Zadorenko, confirmed the assault attempt by Russia, but says that it was repelled by fighters of the 58th Brigade, and the checkpoint remains under the control of the Ukrainian armed forces. The enemy advanced on the Liman section of the Kharkiv direction, in the Torsky area. Judging by the map, the Russians broke through to the southern part of the village, cutting off the northern part from the main positions of the Ukrainian army. A lot of information has recently begun to come from the Kherson direction. Let's turn our attention to this section of the front. On July 30th, the spokesman for the Southern Defense Forces, Voloshin, reported that over the past week, the Russians have intensified assaults in the area of the Antonivsky railway bridge across the Dnipro, which is located near Kherson, east of the Antonivsky automobile bridge. The enemy has made more than 50 such attempts in a week. That is, before there were 3 or 4 attempts a day, now there are up to 10 such attempts. The Antonivsky railway bridge is the narrowest point of the Dnipro, from where it is possible to strike, as well as try to make sorties to the western bank, where the Ukrainian defense forces are located, Voloshin said. Russian Senator Rogozin said that the Russian military on the bridge drove the enemy out of the technological tunnel and hoisted flags over the canvas. He also published a video. At the same time, the next day a video appeared from the Ukrainian side with the destruction of these flags and a message that the enemy dropped these flags from drones. On August 1st, Marines from the 34th Brigade, which holds the line along the Dnipro River in the Kherson region, began to complain about the new 27-year-old Commander Pulinets, who, according to some reports, is the nephew of one of the generals of the General Staff of Ukraine. According to them, due to the orders of the young lieutenant colonel, the brigade is being wiped out to zero, suffering huge losses while performing meaningless tasks. At the same time, the new commander is cutting their combat pay. The new leadership, without taking into account the operational situation, decided to swap our fighters with the occupiers. That is, for some reason, they began sending soldiers en masse on survival operations. Without explaining the ultimate goal of this risk, not to mention the logistics and survival opportunities on the opposite bank, the fighters said in a message published by local telegram channels. In particular, The military complains about orders to hold the eastern bank without proper support and rotation, which is why the military themselves try to swim across the Dnipro and are killed by drones. According to them, the new commander did not conduct an analysis of the unit's preliminary actions for the previous time, but believes that the brigade has done nothing for 2 years. The military says that due to this situation, not only positions on the eastern bank, but also on the western bank, controlled by the Ukrainian armed forces, may be lost. The 30th Marine Corps denies that Pulinets has any family ties in the general staff, and appointed him because of his combat experience. It is stated that he has been fighting since 2018, has gone through dozens of difficult battles, has numerous awards, and has been wounded. Meanwhile, in Kherson itself, the Russians began airstrikes on Saturday on the bridge that connects the Ostriv microdistrict with the rest of the city. The bridge was badly damaged, although it is still possible to drive across it. The island is the southwestern outskirts of Kherson, the closest to the eastern bank, and therefore to the front line. Therefore, it plays a major role in the defense system of the Ukrainian armed forces, and there have been many FPV drones flying in and attacking there before. The main weak point of the island is its logistics. There is no land connection with the city. All transportation is carried out over the bridge. Thus, the Russians, apparently, decided to disrupt the logistics of the Ukrainian troop group. These attacks are happening against the backdrop of rumors that the Russians are preparing to land on the western bank. However, there is no clear confirmation of Russia's intentions to carry out such an operation in the near future. Also, the day before, Antoshchuk, an activist from Kherson, wrote that the situation in Kherson and on the western bank of the region, controlled by the Ukrainian armed forces, is rapidly deteriorating. According to him, the southern streets of the city, which were passable a year ago, are now becoming streets of death. Villages that were accessible a year and a half ago are becoming inaccessible or ghost villages. Drones have already started terrorizing the highway connecting the Kherson and Mykolaiv regions. They are also constantly present near the entrance stele to Kherson. Several months ago, there were about 1,000 drone attacks weekly in Kherson. Now there are more than 1,500. Anti-drone nets have only just begun to be used in the city. Electronic warfare systems will not save us globally, because enemy multiple launch rocket systems can easily cover entire neighborhoods, and if necessary, they will not spare even a few guided aerial bombs to eliminate obstacles and threats. Every 6 months, the list of populated areas of the region and part of Kherson where mandatory evacuation is announced increases. Many stores are closing, and people are forced to go shopping under the threat of shelling. Problems with water and heating are growing. In the fall, there may be more victims due to scattered petal mines that will cover the city, and they will hide under fallen leaves. Volunteers are gradually leaving. The question of where to evacuate and what to do next is another question. Residents of Kherson have adapted to daily danger, but it is impossible to get used to it. Only the Dnipro River and the defense forces save us. A lot is being done, but in dynamics, watching how the so-called red zone is shifting, or rather expanding, and at what pace, there is little optimism, writes Antoshchuk. Speaking about the front as a whole, Deep State writes that in July, the Russians had the highest rate of advancement in Ukraine for the entire current year. Over the past month, Russian troops advanced 564 square kilometers. This is 12 kilometers more than in June. Also, the current result is higher than all months of 2024, with the exception of November, when the Russians captured 730 square kilometers.
Friends, I want to develop and strive for higher quality content, but my 2009 computer does not allow me to do this. If you have the opportunity to help me buy a new computer and make my dream come true, I will be very grateful to you. You will find the link in the description under the video and in the pinned comment. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.